They say you don't really know someone until you live with them. But in my case, I didn't truly know my husband's family until they tried to take our dream house. I'm Alice, and this is the story of how I outsmarted my greedy in-laws who thought they could claim everything we'd worked for. When I first met Thomas's family, they seemed perfectly normal. Maybe a bit too interested in our financial situation, but I chalked that up to parental concern. His mother Elizabeth always asked detailed questions about my job as a software developer, while his father Robert would casually mention how expensive their retirement lifestyle was becoming. Thomas's sister Lisa would constantly compare her life to ours, sighing about how she wished she could afford the things we had. Still, I never expected them to try to take our house. Thomas and I had worked incredibly hard for our dream home. We both had successful careers, he as a surgeon and me in tech, and we'd lived modestly for years, saving every extra penny. When we finally found the perfect property, a beautiful $2.8 million house in an upscale neighborhood, we were thrilled. It had everything we wanted, a spacious layout, a gorgeous garden, and enough room for the family we hoped to start. The problems began during our housewarming party. I noticed Elizabeth examining everything with an appraising eye, asking pointed questions about the cost of various features. Robert kept mentioning how much more spacious it was than their current home, while Lisa complained about her tiny apartment. "You two are so lucky," Elizabeth said, running her hand along our marble countertop. "This house is much too big for just the two of you." I should have recognized the warning signs then, but I was too busy enjoying our new home to see what was coming. A week after the housewarming, Elizabeth called Thomas in tears. Their investment advisor had apparently run off with a significant portion of their retirement savings, leaving them in a difficult financial situation. They needed a place to stay while they sorted things out. Thomas, always the dutiful son, immediately offered to help. "They can stay with us for a while," he suggested. "We have plenty of room." I was hesitant but agreed. After all, they were family, and this was supposed to be temporary. That was my first mistake. Elizabeth and Robert moved in the following weekend, bringing with them enough belongings to furnish an entire house. They took over the main guest suite, started rearranging furniture, and began treating our home as their own. "We need to make this space more suitable for long-term living," Elizabeth announced, moving my carefully chosen decorative pieces into boxes. When I objected, she gave me a cold look. "Dear, we raised Thomas. Everything he has, including this house, is because of us. We deserve to be comfortable here." The situation deteriorated rapidly. They invited friends over without asking, criticized my housekeeping, and acted as if they owned the place. Thomas, caught between his wife and his parents, tried to keep the peace but usually ended up siding with them. Then Lisa lost her job and announced she was moving in too. "Family has to stick together," she declared, bringing in her 3 cats despite knowing I was allergic. I watched in growing dismay as my dream home became a nightmare. My in-laws took over the main living areas, relegated my home office to a corner of the bedroom, and acted as if I was the guest in my own house. The final straw came during a family dinner 3 months after they'd moved in. Elizabeth cleared her throat and made an announcement. "Robert and I have been thinking," she began, sharing a meaningful look with her husband. "This house is really too big for Alice and Thomas alone. We've decided it would be best if we made this arrangement permanent." I nearly choked on my wine. "Permanent? Yes," Robert added. "We're not getting any younger, and we need security. This house would be perfect for all of us to live together as a family." "And me too," Lisa chimed in. "I can't afford rent in this city anyway." I looked at Thomas, expecting him to object, but he was staring at his plate, avoiding eye contact. "This is our house," I said firmly. "We bought it together, Thomas and I." Elizabeth's smile turned cold. "Actually, dear, Thomas bought this house. His name is on the deed, isn't it? And everything Thomas has comes from us, his education, his career, everything. So in a way, this house is already ours." I felt like I was in some bizarre alternate reality. I contributed half the down payment. I'm paying half the mortgage. "But you're just his wife," Lisa said dismissively. "Family comes first." "I am his family," I countered, my voice rising. "It's different," Elizabeth insisted. "Blood is thicker than water. Besides, we've already discussed this with Thomas, haven't we, darling?" Thomas finally looked up, his expression guilty. "Mom thinks it makes sense," he said weakly. "They need help, and the house is big enough." I stood up from the table, my mind racing. This couldn't be happening. But as I looked at their smug faces, I realized they'd been planning this all along. The retirement fund story, Lisa's convenient job loss. It was all part of their scheme to take over our home. That night, I lay awake thinking about my options. I could fight them, but Thomas would probably keep taking their side. I could leave, but why should I give up everything we'd worked for? Then I remembered something that made me smile, something they didn't know about. The next morning, Elizabeth cornered me in the kitchen. We need to talk about redecorating. This kitchen needs a more traditional touch. You're right, I said, surprising her with my agreeable tone. This house does need some changes. Over the next few days, I appeared to accept their takeover. I even helped Lisa move more of her things in and listened to Elizabeth's plans for renovating my kitchen. All the while, I was putting my own plan into motion. A week later, they made their final power play. During another family dinner, Robert pulled out some papers. We've drawn up an agreement, he announced. It transfers ownership of the house to us, with the understanding that you and Thomas can continue living here, as long as you comply with our reasonable requirements. Thomas actually picked up a pen, ready to sign. Wait, I said calmly. Before you sign anything, I have something to show you. I opened my laptop and pulled up some documents of my own. What's this? Elizabeth demanded, squinting at the screen. Property records, I replied. For this house. You might want to look at them carefully. They clustered around the laptop, and I watched as their expressions changed from confusion to shock. This can't be right, Robert sputtered. Oh, but it is, I said. You see, while Thomas's name is on the deed, so is mine. And 3 days ago, I exercised my right as co-owner to sell my half of the house. You what? Thomas exclaimed, finally showing some emotion. I sold my half of the house to a property management company, I explained. A company that specializes in dealing with difficult tenant situations. But you can't do that, Elizabeth protested. Actually, I can and I did. The company has already served notice. Everyone not on the original deed needs to vacate the premises within 30 days. Thomas, do something. Lisa wailed. But there was nothing he could do. I had acted within my legal rights, and the property management company was already involved. You're choosing money over family? Elizabeth tried guilt-tripping me one last time. No, I corrected her. I'm choosing to protect what Thomas and I built together from people who think they're entitled to take it. The next month was tense. My in-laws tried everything from threats to tears, but the property management company was immune to their manipulation. They had to move out, taking their boxes of belongings and Lisa's cats with them. Thomas was angry at first, but as the house emptied and peace returned, he began to see things differently. I can't believe they tried to take our house, he said one evening after they'd gone. And I can't believe I almost let them. They took advantage of your loyalty, I said. But that doesn't mean you have to give them everything. The property management company turned out to be an excellent buffer. When my in-laws tried to guilt us about the house later, I could honestly say it wasn't entirely under our control anymore. The company has strict policies, became my favorite phrase when dealing with their demands. Life settled into a new pattern. Thomas and I went to counseling to work through the trust issues the incident had caused. He learned to set boundaries with his family, and I learned to forgive him for his temporary lapse in judgment. Elizabeth still makes snide comments about how I chose property over family, but I just smile and remind her that protecting what you've earned isn't selfish, it's smart. The house is peaceful now, decorated the way we want it, with no cat hair on the furniture or critical in-laws rearranging our lives. And if Elizabeth sometimes drives by slowly, looking at what she tried and failed to take, well, that's her problem. I keep the property records easily accessible on my laptop, a reminder that sometimes the best defense is careful planning and quick action. The company I sold my half to has proven to be an excellent partner, helping us maintain the property while providing a legal shield against future family land grabs. Thomas and I are stronger for having gone through this. He now understands that standing up to family doesn't mean you don't love them. It just means you respect yourself too. Last week, we heard through the family grapevine that Elizabeth and Robert had tried a similar tactic with Robert's sister, attempting to claim her vacation home as their retirement property. She called me for advice. Get everything in writing, I told her, and never assume family means they have your best interests at heart. The whole experience taught me several valuable lessons. First, never ignore red flags, even when they come from family. Second, always have a backup plan. And third, Sometimes the best revenge is simply protecting what's yours and living well. Lisa eventually found a new job and her own apartment. She still complains about how unfair it is that we have such a big house to ourselves, but now she does it from a safe distance. Elizabeth and Robert ended up downsizing to a condo, which they claim is cozier than our house anyway. They've stopped visiting as often, which is probably best for everyone involved. As for Thomas and me, we're expecting our first child. The room that was briefly Lisa's cat paradise will become a nursery, decorated exactly the way we want it. And thanks to my quick thinking with the property management company, we know our home is secure for our growing family. Some people call me calculating for how I handled the situation. I prefer to think of it as prepared. After all, I didn't create the problem. I just solved it in a way that protected our interests while maintaining professional distance. The property management company continues to be an excellent buffer between us and any family members who might get ideas about claiming space in our home. Their firm policies and legal backing provide a convenient excuse when we need to say no to extended visits or unauthorized redecorating plans. Thomas has become much better at setting boundaries with his family. The experience opened his eyes to their manipulative patterns, and now he's usually the first to shut down any hints about sharing our resources. "My wife and I worked hard for what we have," he told his mother recently when she started complaining about our excess space again. "We're not responsible for providing housing for the entire family." I was never prouder of him than in that moment. The house has become more than just a home. It's a symbol of our independence and our ability to stand up for ourselves. Every room holds memories now, not of family drama, but of the life we've built together. My in-laws' attempt to take our house backfired in ways they never expected. Instead of gaining control of our property, they lost their power over Thomas. Instead of creating a multi-generational family compound, they pushed us to create stronger boundaries. Looking back, I'm almost grateful for their scheme. It forced us to confront important issues early in our marriage and taught us valuable lessons about family, trust, and the importance of protecting what you've built. Now, as I sit in our peaceful living room, watching the sunset through windows that aren't covered in cat hair, I can appreciate the irony. By trying to take everything, they ended up losing what they really had, our trust and willingness to help them when they genuinely need it. The property management company sends us regular reports, each one a reminder of how close we came to losing our dream home to family entitlement. But more importantly, they're a reminder of how smart thinking and quick action can protect what matters most. Thomas and I have made a pact to teach our child the importance of boundaries, even with family. We want them to understand that love doesn't mean letting people take advantage of you, and that sometimes the strongest families are the ones that respect each other's independence. Our house is truly our home now, filled with love, respect, and the knowledge that we're strong enough to protect what we've built together. And if anyone tries to claim it again, well, I keep those property records just a click away, ready to remind them that some lessons only need to be taught once. The smile I wore when giving them those keys wasn't just about satisfaction. It was about knowing that sometimes the best victory is the one your opponents don't see coming until it's too late. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.